To begin, we would like to acknowledge that today's event is taking place on the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of New Credit and the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Huron-Wendat. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community. This film is eligible for the Grosh People's Choice Award. Vote for your favorite films at tiff.net/vote. And we would like to thank Roadside Attractions and YouTube Premium for providing us with this film. Thank you very much. Televised images of armed conflicts are sadly familiar in our modern age, but the lesser-known stories of loved ones left in limbo and in fear following these violent acts are the basis of this new film from Maryam Keshavarz, whose first feature film, Circumstance, won the Audience Award at the 2011 Sundance Film Festival. The film explores frustration, governmental inadequacy, pragmatism, and hope, all in equal measures, and is powered by outstanding performances by some of the best actors working today, including Susan Sarandon, Edie Falco, Matt Bomer, Adepero Oduye, and Lola Kirk. We're pleased to have the opportunity to have an on-stage conversation with some of our guests after the film, but please join me in welcoming today director Maryam Keshavarz.
Wow, you guys made it. Thank you. This is very exciting. This is my second feature. It's a huge honor to be here at TIFF. I wanted to thank my partners at YouTube Originals and Roadside Attractions. And as a kid from an immigrant family in New York, an Iranian Muslim family, this is so meaningful for me to show this today on 9/11. I would like to introduce my cast and crew, starting with my very close collaborator, Ginger Shankar, who was the composer and friend. J.C. Chandor, Neil Dotson, and Anna Gerb, the producers. My co-writer and fellow Northwestern alum, Jonathan Mastro. And some of the greatest actors I had the honor of working with, Adepero Oduye, Sheila Vand, Julian Morris, Matt Bomer, and the exquisite and talented Susan Sarandon. This story wouldn't be possible without all the brave journalists who put their life on the line every day to tell our stories. In an age where journalism is constantly under attack, I tip my hats off to you guys and your amazing work, and to all of your families who are a great support and have gone through a lot. I hope you enjoy the film. And I'd like to introduce my amazing cast. Sheila Vand, Matt Bomer, and the incredibly moving Susan Sarandon.
Miriam, this is a film filled with many layers of ideas and meaning. Can you talk a little bit about the genesis of the project, how it came to you, you and your screenwriter partner?
So Jonathan and I, we went to Northwestern together. We took a politics of Shakespeare class. It kind of changed our lives forever. And we knew with what was going on with journalists, not just in America, but overseas, being targeted more and more. We wanted to do something about journalists, but we weren't sure what. We also wanted to do something, there was the horrible issues with Sandy Hook, and we both have young children. And we thought, violence is not just something that's in America, it's something, not just something overseas. We think of violence as something that happens in Syria, but really it happens in our schools every day. So we wanted to create a sort of parallel story of violence, but we wanted to filter it through one woman's experience to get the most emotional impact and to really talk through some themes and issues that we found important. And many of the layers are very personal, as all writers are narcissists. And like the Iranian doctor is my father. I grew up in ER. My brother is an ER doctor. So Jonathan grew up with a single mother. So we filtered our own life experiences into real events of what journalist families are going through or have gone through. So we used some markers of the real stories and we fictionalized that.
It's a remarkable piece of work. Congratulations. Can you talk about how you assembled this cast? Is it chicken, egg, which came first, the script or the participation of these amazing actors?
Honestly, the script is something that just, Jonathan was doing a show in LA, it got canceled, so we thought, let's write a screenplay together. And that just came about very organically. And when you're a kid, an immigrant kid, and you go to the cinema and you see someone like Susan Sarandon, you're just in awe. Never do you think you could even meet them, let alone direct them, because Susan was always my first choice for this role. So she was the first to come on board and champion the project and help get it made, really. And then Sheila and I were part of the Iranian community. We went to see a show on Broadway. We're a mafia. We got to support each other. So we went to see a show on Broadway. We were walking afterwards, and she said, you got to write me a role. And I said, okay. And I specifically wrote this role for her. It's an Iranian-American, based on a friend of mine, and it kind of speaks a bit to my life experience of someone going back and forth, who's American but has those roots and is sort of a translator for other people. And then Matt, I'm just his hugest fan, and so the producers knew him, and we had an incredibly deep conversation while I was taking a day off at the spa. And we hit it off, and I knew it had to be Matt.
Pardon. Susan, I wanted to ask you, this is one of the most remarkable performances of the year, I believe. This woman, Helen, that you've created on the screen is so multidimensional and remarkable. Can you speak a little bit about how you approached the character? What was your point of entry? And a bit about your experience.
Well, for me, it's about moms, really. It's not just about... There were two things that interested me about the story. Having kids and having anyone that has kids, you raise them and you want them to be safe, you want them to be happy, you want them to be able to live outside your house. You want them to have their own insurance. And then they start to become adults and they have a passion for something or a sexual identity or something that maybe doesn't make it so easy for them. They want to not be a doctor and play a guitar in a cafe or go to drama school or something. And so you have to, at some point, learn to be supportive and let go and encourage them, even though somewhere in the back of your mind you're worried for them on one level or another. Because at the end you want them to be free to be, and that happens by being authentic. And if you're lucky enough to have a kid that has a passion, that's half the battle, but it's hard. And so this is an extreme version of that. They're extremely close because being a single mom, that relationship is even stronger. And so it's not hard to, you know, I just love women and I love moms and I love stories of families. And so it wasn't difficult to get into the pain of what that means. And the other thing was I didn't know that much about, although it's become more and more necessary to have independent journalists. I didn't know, I hadn't thought about really what someone goes through, that they don't have insurance, and that how do they stay afloat? And this very special fraternity of people that are out there giving us a narrative other than corporate mainstream media, which, as we know, has become kind of, well, it's hard to even identify truth these days. There's so many things on a loop that you're not getting any information. I mean, when Standing Rock happened, I don't even know if any of you are aware of Standing Rock, because most of the United States wasn't, and that was a huge, huge thing. And it was during that, the stand at Standing Rock, that it became clear that the only people that were going in there were Democracy Now! And Unicorn Riot and the Young Turks, and now the only people that are really hip to that are millennials, because they're not getting their news from mainstream media. They're getting their news online. So having people that will go into these areas and can produce film like Andy does, that put a face to some of these political questions, that show you the price of a drone war, that show you these things that we're not, it doesn't come into our everyday thought. I just find them so important and so amazing. And so this kind of combined the two of those things for me, and I thought it would be really hard to do, so that always interests me, because I'm kind of lazy, so if I'm not scared, I don't do a very good job. And
It's good to know.
So we're on the same boat there. And I think as an indie filmmaker, I had a conversation at the lunch with people who shot in Afghanistan. I've shot my previous films in Iran and Lebanon, and for many years had no health insurance and would just fly by the seat of our pants because we wanted to tell a story that was important. And I could have gotten into, and I did get into some trouble here and there. But it's a lot of it is luck, and I always think, what if your families had no connections? What if you didn't have the resources or the knowledge? What would happen? And that's something that personally drove me, and I related to in the story.
Matt, your character plays a very particular role in the film, in that he provides insight into this experience. And I was fascinated by your explanation of where the money goes and how the money goes where. Did you feel a particular, almost like being the son that she couldn't see there in the relationship? Does that make sense of it?
Yeah, I think that's something that you were so caught up in her point of view at that point in the story that I kind of trusted would implicitly happen if we played the scenes as written. But yeah, to me, my interest was just in getting that information out there to her clearly, and because Andy is like a brother to my character in many ways, and I did shepherd him in many ways. She is a surrogate mother to me as well, and a lot of these people are spending years abroad before they get home, so to come home and be in a kitchen with a mom is a special experience in and of itself.
Yes. I want to congratulate you on a wonderful film. I'm afraid that we've run out of time, but thank you so much for allowing us to present this film here. Thank you so much.